Before we dive in, a quick but important note. The information in this video is for educational and informational purposes only, and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. I am not a doctor, and this presentation does not create a doctor-patient relationship. Your health is your responsibility. You've seen the ads, haven't you? The dramatic before and after photos on your social media feed. The late-night infomercials promising a revolutionary new way to melt fat. The sleek packaging in the grocery store aisle with 2 words stamped on it like a seal of absolute truth. Clinically proven. Those 2 words are the holy grail of marketing. They're designed to shut down the skeptical part of your brain. They whisper, "This isn't just another gimmick. This is science. This is real. This works." We see clinically proven, and we feel a sense of relief. Finally, something we can trust. But what if I told you that those 2 words are arguably the most misunderstood, and often the most misleading phrase in the entire multi-billion-dollar US weight loss industry? What if the image you have in your head of scientists in white lab coats, conducting rigorous, unbiased experiments, is often a world away from the reality of what it takes to legally slap that label on a product? That's why you're here. In this video, we are going on a deep dive. We are going to pull back the curtain and decode what clinically proven is supposed to mean, what it actually means in the Wild West of American advertising, and most importantly, how you can tell the difference. By the end of this, you won't be a passive consumer anymore. You'll be an informed investigator. You'll have a BS detector so finely tuned that you can look at any diet plan, any supplement, any fitness gadget, and know the right questions to ask to see if it's legit. This is about saving you money, saving you time, and saving you from the crushing frustration of another failed attempt. This is about putting the power back in your hands. So let's start with what we think it means. When we hear clinically proven, we imagine the gold standard of scientific research. We picture a study published in a prestigious medical journal, like the New England Journal of Medicine. And that gold standard has a name, the Randomized Controlled Trial, or RCT. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple and beautiful. Imagine a group of 2,000 people who want to lose weight. Scientists randomly split them into 2 groups. This random part is critical. It ensures both groups are as identical as possible in terms of age, gender, lifestyle, all of it. Group A gets the new, miracle weight loss pill we're testing. Group B gets a placebo. A sugar pill that looks and tastes exactly the same but has no active ingredient. Now here's the magic trick. The study is double-blind. This means that not only do the participants not know if they're getting the real pill or the sugar pill, but the researchers and doctors interacting with them also don't know. Why? To eliminate human bias. If a doctor knows a patient is on the real pill, they might unconsciously encourage them more, or interpret their results more favorably. A double-blind setup makes the experiment as objective as humanly possible. It's like a trial where even the judge and jury don't know who the defendant is until all the evidence is in. Over several months or even years, the scientists collect data. How much weight did people in each group lose? What were the side effects? How did their blood pressure, cholesterol, and other health markers change? Finally, after all the data is collected, the code is broken. The scientists see which group got the real pill and which got the placebo. And now comes the moment of truth. Did the people in Group A lose a statistically significant amount more weight than the people in Group B? Not just a pound or 2, which could be random chance, but a difference so large it's almost impossible to be a fluke. If the answer is yes, and if the side effects are minimal, the researchers write up their findings. They submit their paper to a major medical journal. There it undergoes a brutal process called peer review. Other independent, expert scientists who had nothing to do with the study pick it apart. They challenge the methods. They question the conclusions. They look for any hint of bias or error. It's a scientific trial by fire. If the study survives this scrutiny and gets published, then, and only then, can you say with true confidence that your product is clinically proven by the highest standards of science. That is the ideal. That's what we all believe is happening behind the scenes. Now let's talk about the reality. Let's talk about what can happen in the world of marketing. The phrase clinically proven isn't legally protected in the United States in the way you might think. There's no single government-enforced definition that requires a double-blind, placebo-controlled, peer-reviewed study. Instead, the standard is much looser. The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, simply requires that companies have competent and reliable scientific evidence to back up their claims. And competent and reliable can mean a lot of different things. So let's peel back the layers. What kind of study might a company be using to justify their clinically proven claim? First, it could be a tiny in-house study. Instead of 2,000 people, they might test their product on 20 of their own employees. It's not randomized. There's no placebo group. It's not double-blind. The person running the study is the head of marketing. After 8 weeks, they find that, on average, the employees lost 5 pounds. Is that because of the product? Or is it because they knew they were being watched by their boss and started eating salads for lunch? There's no way to know. But a study was technically performed and it showed a result. That result can become the basis for a national advertising campaign. Second, let's talk about the dark art of cherry picking. A company might fund 5 different studies on their new fat-burning ingredient. 4 of those studies show it does absolutely nothing. It's a total dud. But the 5th study, maybe due to random chance or a flawed design, shows a small, borderline positive result. The participants lost, on average, 1.5 pounds more than the placebo group over 3 months. What do you think the company does? They bury the 4 failed studies. They never see the light of day. And they take that 1-week outlier study and blast it across every ad they run. Clinically proven to help you lose weight. They're not technically lying. A study did show that result. But they are profoundly misleading you by hiding the full story. Third, and this is the big one, who paid for the study? In our gold standard example, we imagine the study is funded by an independent body like the National Institutes of Health. But in the real world, the vast majority of studies on commercial weight loss products are funded by, you guessed it, the company selling the product. This creates a massive conflict of interest. Researchers are human. If the company that's signing your paycheck needs a positive result to sell their product, there is immense pressure, conscious or subconscious, to find that positive result. This doesn't mean the scientists are evil or that they're faking data, but it can influence how a study is designed, how the data is interpreted, and which results get highlighted versus which get downplayed. And finally, there's the trick of using irrelevant endpoints. A company might have a supplement with an exotic berry from the Amazon. They conduct a study and find that their supplement is clinically proven to increase levels of a specific enzyme in the body called adiponectin. And they plaster this all over their marketing. It sounds incredibly scientific and impressive. What they don't tell you is that while adiponectin is related to metabolism, there is no conclusive evidence that simply increasing it with a pill actually leads to significant long-term weight loss in humans. The claim is technically true, the study did prove it increases that enzyme. But the implied promise that this will make you lose weight is completely unproven. They're proving a small, isolated biological fact, and letting your imagination fill in the rest. So you see the game? They use the language of science to borrow its authority, without adhering to its rigorous process. They create an illusion. The packaging is designed to make you think of that gold standard, double-blind, peer-reviewed trial, when the reality might be a poorly designed, company-funded marketing survey with a sample size smaller than your average book club. And let's be honest, that book club probably has more rigorous debates. So what does that study actually look like? Imagine this. A company, let's call them Slim Corp, wants to prove their new meal replacement shake works. They recruit 20 of their most enthusiastic employees, give them the shakes for 2 weeks, and ask them to fill out a survey. Did you feel more energetic? Do you feel you lost weight? And voila! In a clinical study, 85% of participants reported feeling they lost weight. The claim is technically true. They did a study. They got a result. But calling that clinical proof is like calling a child's drawing of a rocket ship a blueprint for NASA. It misses the entire point of scientific rigor. To really understand how you're being misled, you need to understand that not all evidence is created equal. In the scientific and medical world, there's something called the hierarchy of evidence. Think of it as a pyramid. At the very bottom, you have the weakest, most unreliable forms of evidence. As you climb the pyramid, each level represents a stronger, more trustworthy type of study design, with the absolute gold standard sitting right at the peak. The marketing departments for weight loss companies live and breathe at the swampy bottom of this pyramid, but they use language designed to make you think they're operating at the very top. So let's climb that pyramid. At the absolute base, the widest and shakiest level, you have anecdotes and expert opinions. This is the land of testimonials. It's your friend's cousin who swears by the cabbage soup diet. It's the celebrity on Instagram holding a detox tea. It's even a doctor, appearing on a morning talk show, giving their personal opinion without citing robust data. These stories are powerful. They're emotional. They're relatable. And scientifically, they are almost useless for proving that a product works. Why? Because we have no idea what else that person was doing. Did the person in the testimonial also start exercising 5 times a week? Did they cut out soda and fast food? Did they simply start paying attention to their food for the first time ever? There's no control group. There's no way to isolate the single variable of the product itself. The testimonial is a story, not data. Just above that, we have what are called observational studies. This is a step up, but we're still on shaky ground. In these studies, researchers just observe. They look at large groups of people and search for patterns. For example, they might track thousands of people for 20 years and notice that the ones who consistently eat a Mediterranean diet tend to have lower rates of heart disease. This sounds pretty good, right? It's a crucial tool for generating hypotheses, for finding clues about what we should study more closely. But it has a fatal flaw, and you've heard it a million times. Correlation does not equal causation. Just because 2 things happen at the same time, it doesn't mean one caused the other. The classic example is that ice cream sales and shark attacks are highly correlated. They both go up in the summer and down in the winter. Does this mean eating a pint of Cherry Garcia makes you more attractive to a great white? No. The hidden factor, the confounding variable, is the warm weather that drives people to both the beach and the ice cream truck. In weight loss, people who buy expensive, niche diet products might also be people who have more disposable income, more time to exercise, and are more health conscious in general. The product might have nothing to do with their success. Now we're starting to climb into the serious territory. The next level up is the randomized controlled trial, or the RCT. This is the gold standard for a single study, and it's the design that all those clinically proven claims want you to think they're based on. Let's break down what makes it so powerful. Randomized means participants are assigned to different groups by pure chance, like a coin flip. One group gets the new diet pill, the other gets a placebo, a sugar pill that looks identical. This randomization is critical because it helps ensure the groups are as similar as possible from the start, eliminating that selection bias we talked about. Controlled means we have that placebo group for comparison. Now, if the diet pill group loses significantly more weight than the sugar pill group, we can be much more confident it was the pill, and not something else that caused the effect. But the real magic is when an RCT is double-blind. This means that neither the participants taking the pills nor the researchers distributing them and measuring the results know who is in which group until the very end of the study. Why is this so important? It eliminates human bias. If a participant knows they're getting the miracle pill, the placebo effect can kick in. Their belief alone can cause real physiological changes. And if a researcher knows who's getting the real deal, they might unintentionally influence the results, perhaps by being more encouraging to that group or interpreting their results more favorably. A double-blind, randomized controlled trial is the best tool we have to determine if a single intervention, a single pill or diet plan, actually causes a specific outcome. So what could possibly be better than that? What's at the very peak of our evidence pyramid? That would be the systematic review and the meta-analysis. If an RCT is a single high-quality photograph, a meta-analysis is the entire photo album, carefully curated and analyzed. Researchers scour the globe for every high-quality RCT ever done on a specific topic, say the effect of intermittent fasting on weight loss. They critically appraise each study, throw out the poorly designed ones, and then use powerful statistical methods to pull the data from all the good ones together. This gives us the most comprehensive, reliable, and unbiased view of the evidence possible. When organizations like the American Medical Association or the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics make official recommendations, they are almost always based on multiple systematic reviews and meta-analyses. This is the pinnacle of medical evidence. So now that you know what the pyramid looks like, you can see the game. A weight loss company will conduct a tiny, non-randomized, unblinded study, the kind of thing that sits at the very bottom of the pyramid, and they'll use the exact same language, clinically studied, as the researchers who publish a massive multi-year double-blind RCT in the New England Journal of Medicine. They are counting on you not knowing the difference. But there's one more layer to this deception, and it's a concept that is absolutely critical to understand. It's the difference between statistical significance and clinical significance. This might sound technical, but I promise you understanding this one idea will change the way you see every health claim for the rest of your life. Statistical significance is a term researchers use to describe a result that is unlikely to have happened by chance. In most studies, if there's less than a 5% probability the result was just a random fluke, it's called statistically significant. A company can run a study on their new fat-burning supplement and find that, Over 3 months, the supplement group lost, on average, 1 single pound more than the placebo group. Because they used a large enough sample size, this result might be statistically significant. It wasn't a fluke. Their marketing team can now legally and truthfully say their product is clinically proven to promote weight loss. But here's the question you have to ask. Is it clinically significant? Is it meaningful in the real world? Would you spend $50 a month on a pill to lose 1 extra pound over 3 months? Of course not. That result, while statistically real, is clinically irrelevant. It makes no meaningful difference to your life or your health. Companies exploit this gap all the time. They will design a study to find a tiny statistically significant effect that is practically meaningless, and then they'll blast that clinically proven claim all over their advertising, knowing full well that the actual benefit to you, the customer, is virtually zero. They're selling you a mathematical curiosity, not a real-world solution. So we know they're using weak evidence and magnifying meaningless results. But it gets even worse. What if I told you there are ways to design these studies, from the very beginning, to almost guarantee a positive outcome? Ways to manipulate the data, cherry-pick the results, and bury the evidence that doesn't fit their narrative. It's a playbook of scientific deception, and it happens right under the noses of regulators. And in the next part, we're going to expose that playbook one trick at a time. The first, and perhaps most powerful, page in this playbook is called the Disappearing Act. It's a trick so simple, yet so devastatingly effective, it forms the foundation of nearly all misleading health claims. Officially, scientists call it publication bias. But think of it more like a magician who asks you to pick a card, any card. He has you sign it, shuffles it into the deck, and then with a flourish pulls your signed card from his pocket. Seems like a miracle. But what you didn't see were the other 51 attempts he filmed in his studio, the 51 times he pulled out the wrong card, which he promptly deleted. You only ever see the one time it worked. That is exactly what some weight loss companies do with their clinical trials. Imagine a company, let's call them Everthin, develops a new herbal supplement. They're confident it's the next big thing. So, they fund 10 different studies at 10 different universities. It's a responsible scientific approach. 9 of those studies come back with nothing. The supplement performs no better than a sugar pill. People on the placebo lost just as much weight. It's a dud. But the 10th study, by pure chance, shows a small, barely there, but statistically significant effect. Maybe the participants in that one specific group were a little more motivated, maybe there was a measurement error, or maybe it was just random luck, the statistical noise that's present in any data set. What does Everthin do? They take that one successful study, write it up in a glowing paper, and pay to get it published in a respectable sounding, but perhaps not top-tier scientific journal. The other 9 studies, they disappear. They are locked in a filing cabinet, buried on a server, never to see the light of day. They become research ghosts. So when Everthin launches their massive marketing campaign, they can plaster clinically proven to help you lose weight on every bottle. And if a doctor, a journalist, or a curious customer looks it up, they'll find the study. It's real. It's published. It's proof. But it's not the truth. It's a lie by omission, a carefully curated illusion. The evidence wasn't discovered. It was manufactured by hiding all the conflicting data. This isn't a rare occurrence. A landmark study from Johns Hopkins found that studies with positive results were significantly more likely to be published than those with negative or null results. The system itself is biased towards good news, and companies are more than happy to exploit that bias for profit. The second trick in the playbook is even more insidious. It's called moving the goalposts. In science, it's known as outcome switching. Before any legitimate study begins, researchers are supposed to publicly declare their primary endpoint. This is the one main thing they are trying to prove. For a weight loss study, the primary endpoint is almost always the same. How much more weight did the people using the product lose compared to the people taking a placebo? This is the bullseye they're aiming for. But what happens when they miss? What happens when the study is over, the data is in, and there's no significant difference in weight loss? Well, for an honest scientist, that's the result. The hypothesis was wrong. But for a marketing department, that's a disaster. So they go data dredging. They sift through hundreds of other things they measured, what scientists call secondary endpoints. Things like cholesterol levels, blood pressure, waist-to-hip ratio, mood scores, energy levels, even something as vague as overall sense of well-being. They look at dozens of subgroups: women over 40, men under 30, people who exercise twice a week, people who prefer coffee over tea. They slice and dice the data, running test after test, torturing it until it finally confesses to something. And eventually they find it. A random blip. For example, they discover that in the subgroup of women aged 45 to 55 who live in the Midwest and own a dog, there was a statistically significant 1 centimeter reduction in their left thigh circumference. It's meaningless. It's almost certainly a statistical fluke, the inevitable result of running hundreds of comparisons. But it's all they need. The company then reframes the entire study. The original failed goal of weight loss is buried on page 37 of the appendix. The new headline in the press release screams, "Groundbreaking study proves our product sculpts thighs in middle-aged women." They moved the goalpost after the kick had already missed the mark. They painted a bullseye around the arrow after it landed. This practice of hunting for patterns in data without a pre-specified hypothesis is so common it has a name: p-hacking. And it's one of the primary ways companies turn a failed study into a marketing home run. Next up is trick number 3, stacking the deck, or what researchers call sample selection bias. The people who participate in a clinical trial are supposed to represent the real-world customers who will eventually use the product. But what if you could handpick your participants to be a dream team of dieters? What if you could design your study to only include the people most likely to succeed and exclude everyone else? That's exactly what happens. The recruitment flyers and screening questionnaires for these studies are brilliantly designed to weed out reality. They'll often exclude people with a history of yo-yo dieting, because those individuals are notoriously resistant to losing weight and keeping it off. They'll exclude people with common, related health issues like a slow thyroid, PCOS, or insulin resistance. They'll screen out people who are unmotivated or can't commit to attending 3 supervised gym sessions a week, a luxury most working adults can't afford. So who's left? You get a group of highly motivated, relatively healthy people with no major metabolic roadblocks and the time and resources to follow the program perfectly. It's the dieting equivalent of testing a new sports car on a perfectly straight, empty downhill track with a professional driver behind the wheel, and then claiming it gets 100 miles per gallon in rush hour traffic. When the study inevitably produces fantastic results, the company markets the program to the very people they intentionally excluded from the trial, the busy, stressed-out, metabolically challenged individuals who represent the majority of the weight loss market. The clinically proven results were achieved by a group of people who bear little resemblance to the average customer, making the promise of the product an illusion from the very start. But the final trick is the most heartbreaking of all. It's the short-term mirage. Here's a dirty little secret of the weight loss world. Almost any diet works, for a little while. If you eat nothing but cabbage soup for 2 weeks, you will lose weight. If you cut your calories to 1,000 a day, the scale will go down. The initial drop is the easy part. The biological and psychological battle begins when your body starts fighting back. When metabolic adaptation kicks in and cravings become overwhelming. The real measure of success for any weight loss program isn't what happens in 6 weeks or 12 weeks. It's what happens in 2 years. Or 5. So, when do you think these clinical trials stop? You guessed it. Most industry-funded studies are deliberately short-term. They'll run for 8, 12, maybe 16 weeks, just long enough to capture that initial, exciting, and highly marketable period of weight loss. They get their headline numbers. Participants lost an average of 15 pounds in just 12 weeks. The study ends, the results are published, the commercials are made. But they don't follow up. They don't track what happens at the 1-year mark, when the vast majority of people, according to independent academic research, have regained most of the weight. They don't check in at the 2-year mark, when a significant percentage have regained more than they lost in the first place. This isn't an accident. It's a business model. Selling a short-term mirage is infinitely more profitable than admitting the long-term reality. They are selling you the thrilling first chapter of a story, knowing full well that the ending is a tragedy. And they rely on you blaming yourself for that ending instead of the flawed plot they sold you. These aren't just isolated tricks. This is a system. A 4-part strategy to engineer a clinically proven claim, regardless of whether the product actually works in the real world for real people over the long haul. It's a system that preys on hope and profits from failure. And it leads to a critical question. If this playbook is so obvious to anyone who looks closely, where are the regulators? Where are the government agencies meant to protect consumers from false advertising and scientific fraud? The shocking answer is that, in many ways, the regulations themselves create the loopholes that allow this to happen. The system isn't just broken. It's designed this way. To understand how this happens, we need to look at the 2 main referees on the field of American health products, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. On the surface, their jobs seem clear. The FDA is the gatekeeper for what's safe and effective, and the FTC is the cop on the beat, making sure companies don't lie in their advertising. Sounds like a solid system. But when you look closer, especially in the world of weight loss, you see that the gate has a massive truck-sized hole in it, and the cop is trying to patrol a continent on a bicycle. Let's start with the FDA. We associate the FDA with rigorous multi-phase clinical trials for new drugs. We picture scientists in lab coats poring over data, ensuring a new medication is both safe and actually does what it claims to do before it ever reaches a pharmacy shelf. And for prescription drugs, that's largely true. The process is long, expensive, and incredibly strict. But here is the single most important piece of information you need to understand about the weight loss industry. The vast majority of weight loss pills, powders, and teas are not classified as drugs. They are classified as dietary supplements. This distinction is everything. It's not just semantics, it's a legal chasm. And it was created in 1994 by a piece of legislation called the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, or DSHEA. This act fundamentally changed the game. Before DSHEA, supplements were in a gray area. After DSHEA, they were officially categorized alongside food. Think about that. A bottle of exotic fat-burning herbs extracted in a lab is regulated with the same basic oversight as a bag of carrots. What does this mean in practice? It means that for a dietary supplement, a manufacturer does not have to prove to the FDA that their product is safe or effective before they put it on the market. Let me repeat that because it's the foundation of the entire industry. A company can dream up a new weight loss pill tomorrow, manufacture it, and sell it to you next week without ever having to submit a single piece of evidence to the FDA that it works or that it won't hurt you. The entire burden of proof is flipped on its head. For a drug, the company has to prove it's safe. For a supplement, the FDA has to prove it's unsafe before it can take action. It's the difference between a building code that requires an architect to prove a skyscraper is stable before construction versus a system where anyone can build whatever they want, and the city only steps in after it collapses and injures people. The FDA simply doesn't have the resources to investigate the tens of thousands of supplements on the market. They are forced to play a reactive game of triage, usually only stepping in after a product is linked to serious illness or death. By then, millions of people may have already bought it. So, the FDA gatekeeper is effectively blindfolded for most of the products we see. That brings us to the FTC, the cop on the beat. The FTC's job is to enforce truth in advertising. If a company says their pill will make you lose 30 pounds in 30 days, the FTC is the agency that can sue them for making a deceptive claim. And they do. They've gone after some big names, levying multi-million-dollar fines against companies for making unsubstantiated weight loss claims. But here's the problem. The dietary supplement and weight loss industry in the US is worth over $70 billion. It is a financial juggernaut. The FTC, by comparison, is a relatively small federal agency with a limited budget. Sending them to police the weight loss industry is like sending a single detective to take down a global crime syndicate. They can make a few high-profile busts, which they do, but it's a drop in the ocean. For every company the FTC finds, 100 more pop up, using slightly different language and more sophisticated marketing to fly under the radar. For many of these companies, a potential FTC fine is just a calculated cost of doing business. They can make hundreds of millions in profit from a deceptive product before the FTC even finishes its investigation. The fine becomes a rounding error on a balance sheet. This creates a massive regulatory gap. The FDA isn't checking if the product works before it's sold, and the FTC is too overwhelmed to effectively police all the claims made about it afterward. It is into this gap that the modern scientifically packaged weight loss industry pours, armed with its most powerful weapon, the phrase clinically proven. They exploit yet another loophole, this one concerning the very language they're allowed to use. Thanks to DSHE, supplement companies are allowed to make what are called structure/function claims. A company can't legally say their product cures obesity or prevents heart disease. Those are disease claims, and making them would instantly reclassify their supplement as an unapproved drug, bringing the full weight of the FDA down on them. But they can say their product supports fat metabolism, or helps maintain a healthy weight, or promotes digestive health. These claims sound medical. They sound scientific. But legally, they are about affecting the normal structure or function of the body, not about treating a disease. And the standard of evidence required to make these claims is dramatically lower. And here's the final cynical cherry on top. If a company makes one of these structure/function claims on its label, the law requires them to also print a disclaimer. You've seen it, usually in tiny font on the side of the box. It reads, "This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease." This is the industry's ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. They are legally required to tell you that the FDA has not validated their central marketing claim. They put it there not to protect you but to protect themselves. They know that the bold, exciting promise on the front of the box is what sells the product, not the legal fine print on the back that essentially admits the promise is unverified by a credible authority. It's a system that allows marketing to shout while the truth is forced to whisper. So we have a system where the FDA can't check if a supplement works before it's sold. And the FTC is playing an endless game of whack-a-mole with false claims. This is the playground where the modern weight loss industry was born. But how do they get that coveted, clinically proven badge within this broken system? They don't break the rules. They just learn how to play the game better than anyone else. And the first rule of the game is, you get to design the test you want to pass. Imagine you're a teacher, and your job performance is based on your students' final exam scores. You have two options. Option 1. Take a classroom full of randomly selected students with varying abilities and work your tail off for a year to help them improve. Or option 2. You get to handpick only the most brilliant, motivated, and well-rested students for your class. Then you get to write the final exam yourself, making sure the questions perfectly match the lessons you taught. And finally, you get to grade the exam, and if a student drops out halfway through the year, you can just pretend they got an A on the final anyway. Which option is going to make you look like the teacher of the year? This isn't a hypothetical. This is, in essence, how a shocking number of clinically proven weight loss studies are designed. It starts with a process called participant selection. The company running the study sets what are known as inclusion and exclusion criteria. This is the velvet rope of the clinical trial. It determines who gets in and who stays out. On the surface, this sounds reasonable. You want to make sure participants are healthy enough for the study, right? But this is where the game is first played. A company can design these criteria to systematically weed out anyone who might make their product look bad. Think about the average person struggling with weight. They might have a history of yo-yo dieting, which can make future weight loss harder. They might have metabolic issues like insulin resistance or a thyroid condition. They might work a stressful job with long hours, have kids, and struggle to find time to cook healthy meals. They are, in a word, human. But the ideal study participant for a weight loss company? They're almost superhuman. The exclusion criteria might disqualify anyone with a history of weight cycling, anyone with a BMI over a certain not too high limit, anyone with a diagnosed metabolic or hormonal disorder, anyone taking medications that could affect weight, anyone with a low motivation score on a preliminary questionnaire. What you're left with is a group of people who are essentially primed for success before they even take the first pill or eat the first prepackaged meal. They are the ideal dieters, biologically responsive, psychologically motivated, and unburdened by the common complications that derail the rest of us. So when the study concludes that participants lost an average of 20 pounds, the unstated fine print is that it was 20 pounds lost by a carefully curated group of people who bear little resemblance to the person watching the commercial at home. It's like a car company testing its fuel efficiency by only driving downhill with a tailwind, and then advertising that number as its standard MPG. But picking the perfect players is only step 1. Step 2 is making sure they're playing against the worst possible team. This is where the control group comes in. In a legitimate scientific study, you compare your new, amazing intervention against the current best alternative, the gold standard. You want to prove your thing is better than what's already out there. But in the world of commercial weight loss studies, the goal isn't to be better than the best. It's to be better than, well, almost nothing. The control group is often a straw man, an opponent designed to be easily knocked over. In many of these studies, the control group is given a pamphlet with generic advice like, eat a balanced diet and exercise 30 minutes a day. That's it. So on one side, you have the treatment group. They're getting the company's product for free, receiving regular check-ins with coaches, logging their food in a special app, and feeling the psychological pressure of being in a study. On the other side, you have people who were handed a piece of paper and sent on their way. Is it any surprise that the structured, high-touch program produces better results than a brochure? Of course not. The study was designed to create that outcome. In some cases, it's even worse. The control group gets no treatment at all. They're just told to continue their lives as normal and their weight is tracked. The study then triumphantly declares that their program is more effective than doing absolutely nothing. This is a scientifically meaningless comparison, but it's a marketing goldmine. It allows them to say their program is proven to be more effective, and they're not technically lying. They just conveniently leave out what it was more effective than. So you have the perfect participants competing against a deliberately weak opponent. Now comes the third trick. You end the game right after your team scores the winning touchdown, before the other team has a chance to come back. This is the manipulation of study duration and endpoints. The vast majority of weight loss studies are incredibly short. We're talking 12 weeks, 16 weeks, maybe 6 months if they're really ambitious. Anyone who has ever lost weight knows that losing it is the easy part. The real monster, the final boss of weight management, is keeping it off. Weight regain is the near universal experience. Our bodies are hardwired with powerful biological mechanisms to fight back against weight loss and return to our highest sustained weight. This regain typically starts to kick in aggressively after a few months. But by ending the study at the 12-week mark, the peak of the honeymoon phase of dieting, companies can capture a snapshot of maximum success. They get their clinically proven data showing impressive weight loss, and the study is over. They have no obligation to follow up with these participants at 1 year or 2 years or 5 years to see if they kept the weight off. Because overwhelmingly they don't. The study isn't designed to measure long-term, sustainable success. It's designed to generate a short-term, highly marketable data point. The finish line is placed exactly where the results will look best. And just in case some of the hand-picked participants still don't perform well, there's a final powerful ace up their sleeve: how they handle the dropouts. In any long-term endeavor, people quit. A weight loss study is no different. People drop out because the diet is too restrictive, they have side effects from the supplement, or they simply aren't seeing results and get discouraged. These dropouts are a huge problem for a company trying to prove its program works. If a quarter of your participants quit, it doesn't look very good. So they use a statistical sleight of hand. One of the most common methods is called last observation carried forward. It sounds complicated, but it's deceptively simple. Let's say a participant, John, loses 15 pounds in the first month, but then finds the diet impossible. He quits the study in week 5. Instead of counting him as a failure, the researchers take his last recorded weight, down 15 pounds, and carry it forward as his final result for the entire 16-week study. In the final data analysis, John is presented as a 15-pound success story, even though in reality he quit and very likely regained that weight and more. Multiply this by all the people who drop out, and you can see how this technique systematically erases the failures. It creates a fantasy world where everyone who started the program either succeeded or maintained their best ever results for the duration. It's the ultimate airbrushing of data, ensuring the final average weight loss number is as high and as impressive as possible. It's a study that isn't just designed to pass the test. It's designed in a way that it is almost impossible to fail. They've built the perfect stage, cast the perfect actors, and written the perfect script for their product to be the star. But what happens when the study is over, and the marketing team gets a hold of that clinically proven data? That's when the real magic trick begins. The first and most powerful sleight of hand is the subtle, almost invisible switch between two very different ideas: statistical significance and clinical significance. They sound similar. They both sound scientific and important, but one is a mathematician's tool, and the other is a measure of real-world impact. And the multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry is built on you confusing the two. Let's break it down. Statistical significance is all about probability. It's a way for researchers to say, we're pretty sure this result didn't happen by pure random chance. Imagine you have a coin you suspect is weighted. You flip it 1,000 times. If it comes up heads 503 times and tails 497 times, that's probably just random luck. But what if it comes up heads 540 times? At that point, a statistician can run a calculation and say, the probability of getting this result with a fair coin is very low. Therefore, the result is statistically significant. The coin is likely weighted. But notice what this doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you if the coin is weighted enough to matter in a real poker game. It just tells you the effect is probably real, not random. Clinical significance, on the other hand, asks a much more human question: so what? Does this result actually make a meaningful, noticeable difference in a person's life? Does it improve their health, their quality of life, their daily experience in a tangible way? Now let's apply this to a weight loss study. A company develops a new diet pill. They run a perfect 6-month double-blind placebo-controlled study. At the end, they find that the group taking the placebo lost an average of 5 pounds. The group taking the new pill lost an average of 7 pounds. The researchers run the numbers, and because the study was large and well-controlled, they find the 2-pound difference is statistically significant. It wasn't a fluke. The pill did something. The marketing team gets that result and sprints to the finish line. The commercials are born. In a new clinical study, Fat Burner X was proven to help participants lose more weight than diet and exercise alone. And they are not lying. It is technically true. But here's the question they hope you never ask. Is losing an extra 2 pounds over 6 months, that's 1/3 of a pound per month, clinically significant? Is that the life-altering result you imagined when you saw the ad? Is that worth $90 a month? For the vast majority of people, the answer is a resounding no. The effect is real, but it's so small it's practically meaningless. They sold you the statistical fact, but they let you imagine a clinical fantasy. But the magic show doesn't stop there. Once they have a statistically significant result, no matter how small, they can use another illusion to make it look gigantic. This is the trick of relative versus absolute numbers. This one is so deceptive, yet so common, you'll start seeing it everywhere once you know what to look for. Let's imagine a different study for a new meal plan program called Quantum Lean. In the control group, who just received standard dietary advice, 3 out of every 100 people successfully lost 15% of their body weight. A 3% success rate. In the Quantum Lean group, 6 out of every 100 people achieved the same goal. A 6% success rate. Now, how does the marketing team frame this? Do they say, with Quantum Lean we improved the success rate from 3% to 6%? No. That sounds pathetic. That's an absolute increase of only 3 percentage points. It means that even with their program, 94% of people failed to hit the target. Instead, they use relative numbers. They will say, with booming confidence and bold graphics, Quantum Lean is clinically proven to double your chances of success, or experience a 100% increase in major weight loss. Are they lying? No. 6% is, in fact, double 3%. It is a 100% increase, relative to the starting point of 3%. But the language creates an illusion of massive effectiveness, while the absolute reality is that your chance of success only went from almost 0 to slightly more than almost 0. They're not selling you the actual result. They're selling you the word double. Let's walk through one final crystal-clear example of how a tiny, almost meaningless research finding is transformed into a world-changing marketing claim. Picture a fictional supplement called Metabolic Spark. A gold standard 12-week study is completed. The results are in. The placebo group, who were all put on a 1,500-calorie diet and moderate exercise plan, lost an average of 4 pounds. The Metabolic Spark group, on the exact same diet and exercise plan, lost an average of 6 pounds. That 2-pound difference is tested and hooray! It's statistically significant. The marketing machine roars to life. Phase 1, the headline. They will completely ignore the placebo group. The headline won't be Metabolic Spark helps you lose 2 pounds more than diet alone over 3 months. It will be, lose an average of 6 pounds in just 12 weeks with new Metabolic Spark. This is true, but it's a truth built on a foundation of omission. It implies the 6 pounds came from the pill, when in reality 4 of those pounds, 2/3 of the total, came from the diet and exercise that everyone was doing anyway. The pill's actual contribution was just 2 pounds. Phase 2, the percentage spin. This is where they use the relative numbers trick. They compare the pill's effect to the placebo's effect. The pill added 2 pounds of weight loss to the 4 pounds lost by the placebo group. What is 2 as a percentage of 4? It's 50%. So the next claim is born. Metabolic Spark is clinically proven to accelerate weight loss by 50%. Sounds incredible. Sounds like you'll lose weight half again as fast. But it's just a fancy mathematical way of describing that same tiny 2-pound difference. Phase 3, the superstar testimonial. Every study has outliers. In that Metabolic Spark group, while the average loss was 6 pounds, maybe one person, let's call her Susan, was a hyperresponder. Maybe Susan was incredibly diligent, had unique genetics, and lost 25 pounds. The company isn't legally allowed to say you will lose 25 pounds, but they can absolutely find Susan, put her in a commercial, and have her tell her amazing, yet highly atypical story. Now your brain connects the claim of accelerate weight loss by 50% with the visual of Susan and her life-changing 25-pound success. The average unimpressive 2-pound effect is now completely hidden behind the dazzling outlier. And finally, the legal fine print, the get-out-of-jail-free card, whispered at the end of the commercial. Results not typical. Results based on a clinical study combining metabolic spark with a calorie-reduced diet and exercise. They admit it right there, but only after the illusion is complete. They've taken a statistically real but clinically insignificant result, framed it using the most dramatic relative numbers, attached it to a 1 in a million success story, and created a marketing masterpiece. They haven't lied. Not in a way a lawyer could easily prosecute, but they have deliberately and expertly misled you. They have told a story designed to make you feel hope, to see a future where their product is the magic bullet. But the real data, tells a much less exciting and much less effective story. The problem is that real story doesn't sell. And what we've just uncovered is only what happens with the studies that actually get published. The real deception is often buried in the data we are never allowed to see at all. This is called publication bias, or more informally, the file drawer problem. Picture a researcher's office. On their desk is a small, neat pile of studies with exciting, positive, statistically significant results. These are the studies that get published in fancy journals, get cited in the news, and end up on the box of a weight loss supplement. But over in the corner, there's a huge, overflowing filing cabinet. This is the file drawer. It's crammed with all the other studies. The ones that showed the diet pill had no effect. The ones that showed it was no better than a placebo. The ones where the results were messy, inconclusive, or worst of all for the company that funded it, negative. These studies rarely, if ever, see the light of day. They are buried. And this isn't a minor issue. It's a colossal flaw in the system that fundamentally distorts our understanding of what actually works. Why does this happen? The reasons are simple and, frankly, a little depressing. First, there's the money. The company paying for the research has a clear and powerful incentive. They want to sell a product. They are not funding a study out of a pure, noble quest for scientific truth. They are funding it to get a marketing claim. A study that says their product is useless is a financial disaster. So what happens? They simply don't submit it for publication. There's no law forcing them to publicize their failed experiments. Second, the scientific journals themselves are part of the problem. They want to publish groundbreaking, novel findings. A headline that reads "New supplement dramatically accelerates fat loss" is going to get a lot more attention, clicks, and prestige than one that reads "New supplement does absolutely nothing." So, journals are more likely to accept studies with positive results. And finally, the researchers themselves are under immense pressure. Their careers, their funding, their entire professional lives depend on getting published. This creates a powerful systemic bias towards finding and publishing positive results, while inconvenient truths get locked away in the file drawer. This isn't just a theory. This is a well-documented phenomenon that has shaped public health in America for over half a century. And one of the most flagrant, impactful examples of this concerns an ingredient we all know: sugar. Go back to the 1960s. A fierce debate was raging in the scientific community. What was the primary dietary villain causing the explosion in heart disease? Was it saturated fat and cholesterol, or was it sugar? Today, we know there's a strong link between excess sugar consumption and all sorts of metabolic problems, including heart disease. But for decades, the entire conversation was hijacked. How? Through the file drawer problem weaponized by an industry. In 1965, a group called the Sugar Research Foundation, which is exactly what it sounds like, a trade group funded by the sugar industry, was getting nervous. Studies were starting to emerge that pointed a finger directly at sugar as a major driver of heart disease. This was a threat to their business. So, they decided not to just fund their own research but to buy the scientific consensus they wanted. They secretly paid 3 influential Harvard scientists the equivalent of about $50,000 in today's money to write a literature review. Their instructions were clear. Produce a paper that would debunk the anti-sugar studies and shift the blame squarely onto fat. And that's exactly what the scientists did. In 1967, their review was published in one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world, the New England Journal of Medicine. The paper systematically downplayed the evidence linking sugar to heart disease, while magnifying the evidence against saturated fat. The inconvenient studies that didn't fit their narrative were ignored, criticized, or dismissed. They were, in effect, stuffed into the file drawer. The industry-funded conclusion was presented as objective, authoritative science. The fallout from this single fraudulent review was catastrophic and lasted for generations. It directly influenced the U.S. dietary guidelines for decades. It became the cornerstone of the low-fat craze that swept America in the 80s and 90s. Remember Snackwell's cookies? Fat-free everything? We were told to avoid butter, eggs, and red meat, and instead load up on pasta, bread, and low-fat processed foods that were packed with sugar and refined carbohydrates to make them palatable. The sugar industry didn't just fund a study, they bought a narrative. They created a national diet that, ironically, likely contributed to the very obesity and diabetes epidemics that weight loss programs now promise to solve. The truth, the studies pointing to sugar's dangers, wasn't disproven. It was just buried. It was locked in the file drawer by people who had a financial interest in keeping it there. Now bring that same mechanism back to the clinically proven claim on a box of diet pills or a weight loss app subscription. If an entire industry could manipulate global health policy for 50 years by selectively publishing and suppressing research, what do you think a single company with a billion-dollar product on the line is capable of? When that company tells you their program is backed by 10 clinical studies, what they aren't telling you about are the other 15 studies they ran that produced mediocre or negative results. The ones where participants lost no more weight than the placebo group. The ones where the side effects were too significant. Those studies aren't illegal. They're just business expenses. They get written off and locked away, leaving you with a perfectly curated, completely misleading highlight reel of their success. You are looking at a filtered reality. You see only the winners, the success stories, the data points that support the marketing claim. The failures, the null results, the evidence of ineffectiveness, all of it is rendered invisible. It's like a movie studio only showing you the trailers for its blockbusters, while pretending the box office bombs never even got made. This creates an illusion of efficacy that is incredibly powerful and deeply deceptive. In recent years, there have been attempts to fix this. The government created registries like clinicaltrials.gov, where researchers are supposed to register their studies before they begin. The goal is transparency, to prevent a company from running 10 studies and only publishing the one that worked. But even this system is full of loopholes. Companies can fail to post the results. They can delay posting them for years. Or they can post the raw data in such a complex, jargon-filled way that it's virtually meaningless to anyone without a PhD in statistics. The fundamental imbalance remains. The marketing department gets to blast out the simple, glowing headline from the one successful study, while the contradictory data from the other 9 is buried in a database, effectively still locked in the file drawer. So when you see clinically proven, you have to ask yourself, proven by what? By a complete and unbiased body of evidence? Or by the 1 or 2 studies that survived the marketing department's filter, while the failures were quietly archived? The absence of negative evidence isn't proof of a good product. More often than not, it's just proof of a very deep filing cabinet. We've been shown a distorted picture of the science, a highlight reel of cherry-picked data. But the deception doesn't stop there. Because even within these successful studies, there's another critical question we need to ask. Who are the people they're actually testing these programs on? And does their experience in a lab have any resemblance to your life in the real world? As you're about to see, the people in these studies are often so different from the average person that the results are almost meaningless. And that's where the next layer of the clinically proven illusion is hiding. So, who are these people? Who are these ideal candidates who get to participate in these gold standard trials? Think of it like a casting call for a Hollywood movie. The role is perfect eater, and the casting directors, the researchers, are unbelievably picky. They have a script, and they need actors who will follow it to the letter, without any improvisation. To find these people, they use something called inclusion and exclusion criteria. Inclusion criteria are the basic requirements to even be considered. Things like, you must be between the ages of 25 and 55. Your body mass index, or BMI, must be between 30 and 40. Not a little lower, not a little higher. And you must be, in their words, otherwise healthy. But the real story, the part that should make you sit up and pay attention, is the exclusion criteria. This is the long list of factors that will get you immediately disqualified. This is the velvet rope that keeps almost everyone in the real world out of the clinically proven club. Let's go through a typical list. Do you have type 1 or type 2 diabetes? You're out. The way your body processes sugar is too complex. Do you have a thyroid condition like hypothyroidism, which millions of Americans have and which directly impacts metabolism and weight? Sorry, you're a confounding variable. You're out. What about high blood pressure or high cholesterol? If it's not the specific thing the study is testing, having those conditions, or especially taking medication for them, often gets you cut. Let's talk about mental health. Have you ever been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, or bipolar disorder? Even if it's well managed? The conditions themselves, and especially the medications used to treat them like SSRIs, can influence appetite, metabolism, and weight. To a researcher, that's statistical noise. So you're out. For women, the list gets even longer. Do you have polycystic ovary syndrome? Or PCOS? It's one of the most common hormonal disorders in women of reproductive age and makes weight loss notoriously difficult. For that very reason, you are excluded. Are you pregnant, planning to become pregnant, or breastfeeding? Out and out. The list goes on. Are you a shift worker? A nurse, a police officer, a factory worker whose sleep schedule is all over the place? Your cortisol and hormone cycles are considered too unpredictable. You're excluded. Have you had a major life event recently? A divorce, a death in the family, a job loss? The psychological stress could affect the results. You're out. History of an eating disorder? Immediately disqualified. Smoke cigarettes? You're out. Taking any number of common medications that could possibly, maybe slightly influence weight? You're out. By the time they have filtered out all these people, the group that's left is a tiny hyperspecific slice of the population. They have systematically removed the people whose bodies and lives are complicated. They've essentially filtered out reality. They've created a group of individuals for whom weight loss is biologically and psychologically already the most straightforward. These are people with no major hormonal issues, no significant metabolic roadblocks, no interfering medications, and no major psychological stressors. From a purely cold scientific perspective, this makes a twisted kind of sense. Researchers want to isolate one variable, their program. They want to prove that if you follow Plan X, you get result Y. If a participant has a thyroid condition, how can the researcher know if their weight loss or lack thereof was due to the program or their thyroid? To get clean, publishable data, they have to control for as many other factors as possible. But in the process of creating this sterile, perfect laboratory environment, they create results that are almost useless for the messy, complicated, imperfect world where you and I actually live. The very people who struggle the most with weight, people with PCOS, thyroid issues, depression, stressful jobs, and complicated lives, are the ones who are explicitly excluded from the studies that are then used to market these programs directly to them. It's a bait and switch on a massive scale. But it gets even worse. Because we haven't even talked about the single biggest difference between a study participant and a real customer: accountability and motivation. Imagine you were one of the lucky few chosen for this 6-month study. First of all, you're likely getting the entire program for free. The meals, the supplements, the coaching, all of it. That's a value of hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Right off the bat, your level of investment is different. Second, you are being watched like a hawk. You have weekly, sometimes even more frequent, check-ins with the research team. You have dietitians meticulously reviewing your food logs. You have nurses and doctors weighing you on a calibrated scale, taking your measurements and drawing your blood. You might even be paid a stipend for your time and travel. You are under a microscope. There is an enormous pressure to comply. This isn't just about personal motivation anymore. It's about not wanting to disappoint the friendly researcher who knows you by name. It's about not wanting to be the data point that failed. Failure to follow the protocol doesn't just mean you don't lose weight. It means you might get kicked out of the study. This structure creates an incredibly powerful, artificial incentive to be the perfect participant. Now let's contrast that with the real world. Your world. You see an ad promising clinically proven results. You pull out your credit card and you pay for the program with your own hard-earned money. A box arrives at your door, or you get access to an app. And that's it. You're on your own. There is no researcher calling to check on you. There's no dietitian who will scrutinize your food choices. There is no stipend waiting for you if you stick with it for a month. It is just you, your willpower, and a kitchen full of temptations after a long, exhausting day at work. It's you dealing with your kids' soccer practice, a looming deadline at your job, and the stress that makes you crave comfort food. The people in the study are playing the game on easy mode with all the cheat codes turned on. You are being asked to achieve the same results while playing on hardcore mode, in the middle of a thunderstorm with the controller unplugged. It's like an automaker testing a car's fuel efficiency. They do it on a closed, flat track called a dynamometer with no wind resistance, no hills, at a perfectly steady speed with a professional driver. Then they slap that 50 miles per gallon sticker on the window. But you buy that car and drive it in stop-and-go city traffic with the AC blasting in the summer and the heat on in the winter, and you're lucky to get 35 miles per gallon. The 50 miles per gallon number isn't a lie. It was proven under specific, ideal conditions. But it is profoundly misleading because it has almost zero bearing on your actual, real-world experience. This is what's happening with clinically proven weight loss. The claim is based on a hand-picked group of ideal candidates who are nothing like the average person, placed in an artificial environment of super high accountability that no paying customer will ever experience. They are selling you the results from the perfect flat test track, knowing full well you'll be driving their program on the bumpy, traffic-jammed highway of everyday life. It's a fundamental deception baked right into the system. But how do they turn these narrow, specific results into a universal promise that convinces millions? It all comes down to the dark arts of statistics and how a single well-chosen number can hide a universe of failure. Let's start with the most common, most powerful, and most misleading word in the weight loss marketing lexicon: average. When a company says their users lose an average of 15 pounds, what does your brain hear? It hears that if you follow the program, you can reasonably expect to lose somewhere around 15 pounds. Some people might lose a little more, some a little less, but 15 pounds is the typical, normal result. That is what the word average is designed to make you think. But that is not what it means. Not even close. In statistics, the average they're almost always using is the mean. You calculate the mean by adding up all the results and dividing by the number of people. This simple calculation has a fatal flaw. It is incredibly sensitive to outliers. And the weight loss industry is built on outliers. Imagine a small, hypothetical study with just 10 participants. After 3 months on a new program, here are the results. 8 of the 10 people lose just 1 pound each. 1 person loses 2 pounds. And then there's 1 person, the super responder, the genetic lottery winner, who for a combination of reasons, immense willpower, a unique metabolism, a radical lifestyle change, loses a staggering 50 pounds. Now, what's the typical experience here? It's pretty clear. For 90% of the group, this program resulted in losing 1 or 2 pounds. An abysmal failure. But that's not what the marketing department sees. They see an opportunity. They get out their calculator. 8 people at 1 pound is 8 pounds. 1 person at 2 pounds is 2 pounds. And 1 person at 50 pounds is 50 pounds. You add it all up. 8 plus 2 plus 50 equals 60 pounds of total weight loss. Now divide that by the 10 participants. The average weight loss is 6 pounds. Suddenly, a program where 90% of people failed spectacularly can be legally and truthfully advertised with the headline: "Participants lost an average of 6 pounds." The number isn't a lie. The calculation is correct. But the message it sends is a complete deception. It takes the wildly successful result of 1 person and spreads it across the failures of the other 9, creating a fantasy of moderate success for everyone. The average doesn't reflect the common experience. It reflects a mathematical distortion, a ghost created by a single exceptional outcome, and they are banking on you not knowing the difference. This is the cornerstone of the statistical game, but they have more tricks. If the average isn't impressive enough, they'll pivot to another classic, the up to claim. Lose up to 30 pounds in 12 weeks. This one is even more insidious. It feels like a promise of what's possible, a ceiling you can strive for. What it actually is a statement so vague it's almost meaningless. Legally, all a company needs to make this claim is evidence that one single person somewhere at some time achieved that result. That one super responder from our last example who lost 50 pounds? He single-handedly justifies the claim lose up to 50 pounds. For the entire program. It doesn't matter if thousands of others lost nothing, or even gained weight. As long as one person hit that number, the claim is legally sound. It's not a promise of a likely outcome. It's an advertisement for the most extreme, improbable outlier they could find. It's like a lottery advertising. Win up to $100 million. Yes, it's technically possible, but it has absolutely no bearing on what your actual experience will be. It's not information, it's bait. But the statistical manipulation can get much more sophisticated. Let's talk about the difference between relative and absolute benefits. This is a tactic used across the medical and wellness industries, and it is pure statistical magic. Imagine a large, well-designed study. In the control group, who just used diet and exercise, 3 out of every 100 people achieved what the study defines as significant weight loss. So, a 3% success rate. In the group using the new, clinically proven program, 5 out of every 100 people achieved that same goal. A 5% success rate. Now, how does a marketer present this? They could state the absolute benefit. They could say, using our program increases your chance of significant weight loss from 3% to 5%. That's an absolute increase of 2 percentage points. Honestly, that sounds terrible. You're going to pay hundreds of dollars for a measly 2% better chance of success? Nobody would buy that. So they use the relative benefit instead. They look at the difference between their program and the control. Their program got 2 more people to the goal than the control group's 3. So they calculate what percentage increase that is. 2 is 66.7% of 3. So they can now create a headline that says, "Our clinically proven program is over 66% more effective than diet and exercise alone." Think about that. A 2% absolute increase in success, and 66% more effective. These 2 statements are describing the exact same result. They are both technically true, but one sounds pathetic and the other sounds like a revolutionary breakthrough. The company isn't lying about the number. They are just choosing the mathematical frame that makes a tiny, almost insignificant result sound like a life-changing miracle. They are telling you how much better their tiny success rate is compared to another, even tinier success rate, while hoping you mistake that for your actual absolute chance of success. But of all the statistical sins, the most profound, the most deceptive, is the one you never see. It's the data that is completely ignored. It's the problem of the missing people. In the weight loss world, this is called the attrition rate, the percentage of people who start a program or a study and then drop out before it's over. And this number is the industry's deepest, darkest secret. People don't drop out of a weight loss study for random reasons. They drop out because the diet is too restrictive, because they're not losing weight, because they're frustrated, because they feel like failures, because they can't afford the next shipment of shakes. They drop out because the program isn't working for them. The dropouts are the failures. So what does the industry do? In many cases, they simply pretend those people never existed. They perform what's known as a per protocol, or completer analysis. They only calculate their average weight loss based on the people who actually made it to the finish line. Let's run the numbers. A company enrolls 1,000 people in a 6-month study. By the end of the 6 months, 500 people, a full 50%, have dropped out. They're gone. Of the 500 people who remain, 250 of them lost a significant amount of weight. The company now runs its analysis on the 500 finishers. 250 successes out of 500 participants. They publish a press release. New study shows 50% success rate for our program. But what is the real success rate? They started with 1,000 people. Only 250 of them actually succeeded. The true success rate is 250 out of 1,000, which is 25%. By simply ignoring the half of the study group that quit, they were able to magically double their success rate from a mediocre 25% to an impressive 50%. This isn't an accident. It's a deliberate choice. The gold standard in clinical research is something called an intention-to-treat analysis, where everyone who starts the study is included in the final results, whether they finish or not. But that method produces honest and often disappointing numbers. So instead, they report the results for their star pupils, their most motivated, most compliant, and most successful users, and present that as the result you can expect. They are showing you a highlight reel from the winner's circle and calling it a documentary about the entire race. So they've engineered the study, cherry-picked the participants, and massaged the numbers until they sparkle. They have their clinically proven claim, a beautiful shining number born from a universe of failure. But what happens when this perfectly crafted marketing message collides with the messy, complicated, and stressful reality of your life? The results aren't just disappointing. For millions, they're psychologically devastating. And that is where the real lasting damage is done. This cycle of failure isn't just a hit to your wallet. It's a deep, insidious wound to your self-worth. Each time a program fails, and let's be clear, the program fails you, not the other way around, it reinforces a toxic internal narrative. A little voice that whispers, "See? You can't do it. You don't have the willpower. You're the problem." This is the industry's dark secret. It's not just selling meal plans and shakes. It's profiting from a carefully cultivated sense of personal inadequacy. Because a person who feels broken is a person who will always come back to buy the next fix. They create the disease and sell you the temporary cure over and over again. The weight you lose and regain is nothing compared to the heavy burden of shame that accumulates with each attempt. This shame isolates you. It makes you believe you're the only one struggling, the only one who can't seem to get it right, while the smiling after photos tell you everyone else has found the secret. But the secret isn't a magical food combination or a grueling workout. The secret is that the game is rigged. The entire system is built on a foundation of short-term, unsustainable methods designed to produce a temporary result that can be slapped on a brochure. It's designed to work perfectly within the sterile, controlled environment of a clinical trial, but shatter the moment it makes contact with real life. Your life, with its deadlines, its stress, its kids who get sick, its celebratory dinners, its moments of grief, and its simple human need for comfort and joy. So, if the studies are flawed, the marketing is misleading, and the programs themselves are designed for a reality that doesn't exist, what are you supposed to do? Just give up? Accept a state of health that leaves you feeling tired, unwell, and unhappy? Absolutely not. It means you stop playing their game and start creating your own. You step off the hamster wheel of hope and failure and begin building something that is real, personal, and most importantly, permanent. And it starts by fundamentally changing the way you measure success. For decades, the industry has conditioned us to worship a single metric: the number on the scale. Every ounce gained or lost is a judgment on your character. It's a brutal, unforgiving, and ultimately misleading way to measure progress. True health is not a number. It's a feeling. It's a collection of vital signs that have nothing to do with gravity. So let's create a new dashboard. Let's redefine what winning looks like. Success is waking up before your alarm, feeling rested and not needing 3 cups of coffee just to function. Success is having the energy to play with your kids or grandkids at the end of a long day instead of collapsing on the couch. Success is your doctor looking at your blood work and saying, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. It's mental clarity. It's a stable mood. It's the absence of that constant, nagging joint pain. It's buttoning up a pair of pants that were tight a month ago. It's looking in the mirror and feeling a sense of peace and strength, not disgust and disappointment. When you broaden your definition of success, you give yourself so many more ways to win every single day. And this leads to the second and perhaps most critical shift. You must fall in love with the process, not the product. You must focus on behaviors, not outcomes. The outcome, the weight on the scale, is a lagging indicator. You have very little direct control over it from one day to the next. Your body is a complex biological system, not a bank account. Water retention, hormones, stress, sleep, all of it can make that number swing wildly and drive you insane. But your behaviors, those are leading indicators. You have 100% control over them right here, right now. You can't directly control whether you lose a pound this week, but you can control whether you go for a 20-minute walk today. You can't force your body to burn a specific amount of fat, but you can ensure there's a source of protein and a vegetable on your plate at dinner. Stop setting outcome goals like, I want to lose 30 pounds. Instead, set behavior goals like, I will walk 4 times this week, or I will drink a glass of water before every meal, or I will go to bed 15 minutes earlier tonight. Each time you execute one of these small manageable behaviors, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. It's a small, quiet win. It doesn't create a dramatic before and after photo, but it does something far more important. It builds trust in yourself. It rewires that broken narrative of failure and replaces it with a track record of consistency. And over time, those hundreds of small, consistent behaviors are what produce the lasting outcome you've been chasing all along. Third, you have to abandon the idea of a one-size-fits-all prescription and become your own lead researcher. You are the principal investigator in the most important study ever conducted, the study of you. A clinically proven program that worked for 168 people in a lab in Ohio tells you nothing about what will work for you, with your unique genetics, your gut microbiome, your stress levels, your food preferences, and your schedule. The era of outsourcing your health to a guru or a corporation is over. It's time to take the power back. Start experimenting. Be curious. Treat your body with respect, like a fascinating system you want to understand. How do you feel when you eat more protein at breakfast? How does a 10-minute walk after lunch affect your afternoon energy slump? How does your sleep change when you put your phone away an hour before bed? Pay attention. Gather your own data. What makes you feel strong? What gives you energy? What satisfies you? What is the healthiest way of eating that you can genuinely enjoy and not just tolerate? The answer isn't in a book or a prepackaged meal plan. The answer is within you, waiting to be discovered through mindful, patient self-experimentation. And finally, the ultimate filter for any choice you make is a single powerful question. Can I do this for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, it is not a solution. It's a detour, a temporary fix doomed to fail. Can you eliminate carbs forever? Can you live on 1,200 calories a day for the next 40 years? Can you do high-intensity workouts 6 days a week when your job gets demanding and your kids get sick? Of course not. And that's okay. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be permanent. Sustainability is the only metric that matters. This means finding a way of moving your body that you actually look forward to. Whether it's dancing, hiking, lifting weights, or gardening. It means finding foods that nourish your body and your soul. It means building a life that has room for both a salad and a slice of birthday cake, without the side of guilt. So when you see that phrase, clinically proven, I want you to see it for what it is. It's a snapshot, a piece of data from a controlled experiment that has very little to do with the beautiful, chaotic, unpredictable experiment of your own life. It's a marketing term designed to make you trust a product more than you trust yourself. My challenge to you is this: flip that script. Start trusting yourself again. Become the authority on your own body. The only clinically proven result that has any meaning is the one you prove to yourself, day after day, through small sustainable actions that make you feel stronger, healthier, and more alive. Stop searching for the perfect program and start building your own. It won't be as fast. It won't be as flashy, but it will be real. It will be yours, and it will be the last one you ever need. You are an N of one. You are the only clinical trial that truly matters. Start acting like it today.